purple with the dirt, with dirt.
Shmurda run around shaking his ass. He got an arch in his back that he can't get rid of. Say the nigga got he got some feminine sex appeal now. Say that nigga he got his foot twitched to the side like them girls take the picture.
I see this big ass dude, and he was like throwing up this other it was two dudes, you know what I'm saying? And they was like they was right there. Me up. I was like, yo, what the like, I never wanted, I don't think I took another shower for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
When Bobby Shmurda dropped Hot N, he took the world by storm. That summer, the song went viral, and by fall, it hit the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. But by the time Christmas rolled around, Bobby was behind bars, and after spending more than 6 years in prison, he was finally released from Clinton Correctional Facility in February 2021, and the hip-hop community went wild, celebrating his return. But the Bobby Shmurda that came out of prison, he didn't seem like the same person that went in. I mean, just take a look at this.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Since his release, Bobby has been making headlines, but not always for the right reasons. A lot of people feel like he's just not the same Bobby anymore. Some fans say he's fallen off musically, while others think his whole vibe and personality have changed. But now, things have taken a whole new turn, with fans and critics alike questioning who he really is. It all started when Bobby posted a video on his Instagram that had people talking. In the clip, he's chilling in bed with what seems to be two girls after a party. But if you look closely at the person next to Bobby, whose face is covered with the sheets, it's not so obvious that it's a girl. In fact, to some people, it kind of looked like a dude.
But I was just bullshitting, man.
That's when the internet exploded with speculation. Some of the comments were wild, like, Bobby might as well come out of the closet, and he's probably always been a homo thug, and now he just wants to come out. Others accused him of being bi and using videos with women to cover it up. Honestly, when you see the video, it does make you pause for a second. The person next to Bobby does look a little sus. Maybe it's just the lighting, or maybe it's something more. Then things got even crazier when a guy named Xavier Raza posted the same video on his Instagram and added a caption that read, "I'm mad shy, but Bobby loves me," hinting that he was the one under the covers. Some people thought it was a joke, while others took it seriously, and Bobby was instantly under fire because of it. Eventually, Raza came forward and tried to set the record straight. He apologized for the whole situation, saying, "I owe everybody an explanation, but most importantly, I owe an apology to Bobby Shmurda and his fans. I'm sorry for all the confusion I caused this past weekend. That was not me in the video. What was meant to be a harmless joke shook the internet. I never thought my post would go viral, and it was never my intention to mislead anyone." He continued, "I wanted to clear my name and put an end to this rumor. I know what it's like to be bullied for being gay, and I would never want to put that on anyone else. I wasn't doing this for clout, and I never meant to expose or hurt anyone." Even though Raza tried to explain himself, the damage was already done. People from the hip-hop community took notice of what was going on with Bobby too. It wasn't just fans on social media looking for gossip. One person who never seems to miss a beat when it comes to news in the culture is Wack 100. Known for always having something to say about everyone and everything, Wack is one of those figures who had mixed feelings about Bobby Shmurda, both before and after his trial. So naturally, when the whole Instagram video thing went down, Wack jumped on Clubhouse to share his thoughts. During a Clubhouse session with a bunch of people, Wack 100 didn't hold back. He flat out said, "What girl? I see a man to the left."
What girl? I see a man to the left.
He was referring to the mysterious person in the bed next to Bobby, and for Wack, it wasn't all that shocking. He went on to talk about how situations like this have been happening in big cities like New York, Louisiana, and others for a long time. He basically chalked it up to the culture of these major cities, saying it's just how things are now. One of the women on Clubhouse, who claimed she'd been around Bobby before, backed up Wack's feelings. She said that Bobby had been giving off some homo vibes when she was around him. But to be real, you gotta take everything you hear on Clubhouse with a grain of salt. People hop on there all the time, saying wild stuff just for attention or clout, and a lot of it turns out to be straight up cap. So, while Wack was talking his talk, you have to be cautious about buying into every single thing said during those sessions. Wack wasn't the only one who weighed in on Bobby's situation, though. Charleston White, known for his blunt opinions, chimed in as well. Charleston claims he noticed Bobby's behavior changing long before the video even dropped. In a recent interview, he pointed out how Bobby's been walking and acting differently since getting out of prison.
Shmurda run around shaking his ass. He got an arch in his back that he can't get rid of. Say the nigga got some feminine appeal now. Say that nigga he got his foot twitched to the side like them girls take the picture.
According to Charleston, Bobby wasn't the same tough guy that went in. He believes prison changed him. To Charleston, Bobby's whole demeanor is different, and he's convinced that Bobby isn't straight anymore. He also mentioned how Bobby's music has shifted since he got out. If you look at the tracks Bobby's dropped post-prison, they're way more dance-oriented and less about that hardcore gangsta vibe he had before. Charleston thinks that's a sign of Bobby not being himself anymore. And honestly, when you listen to the music, there's a noticeable difference. Bobby hasn't put out a ton of new music since his release, but the few tracks he has dropped are definitely not what fans expected. It's more about dancing and having a good time, not the gritty, street life anthems he was known for before his incarceration. Adding more fuel to the fire, people started side-eyeing Bobby's S-orientation because of something he said in an old interview. Bobby mentioned how he was getting sucked off while in jail. And while most assumed he was talking about female correctional officers, some people raised eyebrows, wondering if he might have been referring to male inmates. That comment, combined with all the rumors floating around, just made people more suspicious.
I got some neck. The reason I ain't get no pussy is because they used to violate me. They used to put all the bros in the good houses.
But whether that story is true or not, the stigma surrounding black men being turned while in jail is something that's been talked about for years, especially in the rap world. There's always been talk about male rappers being forced into situations in prison, and even just being perceived as gay can be dangerous. In that environment, even a hint of being seen as soft or different can turn someone into a target for P-daters. For instance, in an interview with DJ Vlad, the hip-hop commentator Taxstone shared a disturbing story. He recounted how a friend once mentioned that she had heard he was gay. This statement deeply unsettled him, not because it was true, but because of the implications it carried in prison, where he's from. In prison, even a baseless rumor about one's preference can lead to severe abuse.
Gay or some shit. I was like, it's like, what? I'm like, who said that? But where I'm from, you know, in prison, people use that as a weapon against you.
Merely being seen talking to a gay inmate can result in being labeled as gay, making one a target for P-daters.
And somebody says that you gay and they don't need no proof that much. All they have to do is see you talk to the gay dude 2-3 times and they just slap it on you.
Taxstone expressed how hearing such a rumor was terrifying, realizing that if he were still in prison, that label could be used against him. He described the immense relief he felt upon realizing he wasn't incarcerated at that moment, highlighting the constant anxiety such a threat induces.
Like what? Well, you called me what? So in my head, like it was like, that's the most dangerous thing you could ever do.
Right, because
do that. But I had to realize I was in civilization and I was like, holy shit, I'm bugging, you know what I mean?
Because
shifting gears to another story about the harsh realities of prison life, we have Eddie Mathis, who was sentenced to 3 to 9 years for getting into a shootout with a cop during a robbery. According to Mathis, when he and a bunch of other young inmates were shipped off to Lawton Central Facility, they had to band together to form a crew called the Youth Center Mob. Their main goal was to protect the young guys from the older inmates because they had heard all kinds of horror stories about how the older ones abused the younger ones.
When we got on the hill, well, we heard stories prior to going over there how the older guys were raping some of the younger guys.
Mathis paints a pretty grim picture of life behind bars. He says that assaults were a common occurrence. You could walk out of your dormitory and see 2 or 3 older guys preying on one person. And sometimes it would be even worse, with 20 or 30 guys lining up to do the same thing to that one poor individual.
was rape a thing during those times?
Oh man, it was commonplace, man, honestly. And see somebody grabbing somebody, 2 or 3 guys throwing a coat over their head, you know, and taking them into a dome, and you have 20 or 30 guys lined up to
But Bobby Shmurda wasn't about to sit quietly while people threw shade at him online. He had a strong message for anyone calling him out or accusing him of being on the down low, and he didn't hold back. He first addressed all the internet trolls and haters on his Instagram saying, "That's why y'all still broke after all these years. You spend your time on BS and cap just to make y'all feel better. Tap into reality. Go get you some shmoney." Basically, Bobby was saying that while everyone's out here gossiping and spreading rumors, he's focused on making money and living his life. He didn't stop there though. Bobby also made another Instagram post that's since been deleted, but in that post, he addressed the girl who was in bed with him during that infamous video. He said, "All pretty girls got big foreheads." Then he told all the real ones to go follow one of his little babies, hinting at the girl from the video. It was his way of dismissing the rumors and saying it was definitely a girl next to him, not a guy. But Bobby didn't just keep it to social media. He also had a conversation with DJ Academics, who's had Bobby in his sights since the beginning. During their chat, Bobby straight up denied the down low rumors, but also dropped a little extra info that shed light on what might really be going on behind the scenes. According to Bobby, there's more to these rumors than just internet gossip. He thinks it's part of a bigger plot. In his talk with Academics, Bobby hinted that certain people in the music industry aren't happy about him being a free artist now.
Before I drop, or anytime I'm going on tour or some shit, they start some shit. They gotta start rumors to try to keep my shit distracted. They gotta try to distract my shit, all means necessary.
It's no news that ever since he left Epic Records, Bobby's been pretty vocal about how unhappy he was with the label and how they were controlling everything. In fact, last year he put up an Instagram story saying, "I ain't been in charge of my music since I was 19 years old and I just turned 27. Honestly, I don't even know when Ish is dropping, so don't ask me. Go ask them since they want to control everything." Bobby believes that now that he's no longer under their thumb, the label isn't happy, and they're trying to sabotage his career. He feels like they're throwing dirt on his name with these kinds of rumors to undermine him as an artist. According to Bobby, it's all about control. These labels want to control the artists, their music, and most importantly, their money. And since they don't have that control over him anymore, they're doing whatever they can to bring him down. Now let's take it back to the Bobby that everyone knew before all of this. Bobby Shmurda was riding high on a wave of success. His breakout hit Hot N went viral, lighting up the internet and leading to a massive record deal with Epic Records. This song was everywhere, with over 900 million views on YouTube and a 5x platinum certification, meaning it sold more than 5 million copies. Bobby was making bank too, pulling in $20,000 per performance. Despite all this, he still managed to land himself in serious legal trouble. Bobby's run-ins with the law started way before he hit it big in the rap game. His first minor scrape with the law was allegedly nothing serious, but his first documented arrest came on June 3, 2014. He was hanging out with friends at his girlfriend's apartment when things went sideways. According to multiple sources, 2 cops were outside the apartment, ready to execute a search warrant for suspected drug activity. The door was already open, so they peeked inside and saw Bobby with a joint in one hand and a gun in the other. The officers then took everyone in the apartment into custody, charging Bobby with criminal possession of a weapon, a felony. Bobby insisted the gun was just a prop for a music video, but the cops weren't buying it. However, Bobby's version of events paints a different picture. He claimed that the cops stormed in, lined everyone up against the wall, and tore the apartment apart looking for something incriminating. They found a firearm and decided to pin the charge on Bobby. He was then tossed into the back of a cop car and left there for over 8 hours. Later, evidence showed that none of Bobby's DNA was on the gun. Court documents also revealed that Bobby's lawyer planned to argue against the search warrant, claiming it was issued under false pretenses. Bobby Shmurda's next brush with the law came near the end of summer in 2014. According to multiple reports, Bobby showed up with a group of people for a gig he had at a club in Queens. As soon as he arrived, he was greeted by a bunch of cops who were waiting for him. The police searched the vehicle Bobby was in and found a joint. They immediately pulled everyone out of the car and arrested them on the spot. Bobby's manager, Donnie Flores, had to go to the precinct to get them out shortly after, and in the end, nobody was charged. But the most infamous arrest came a bit later. On December 17, 2014, in the early hours of Wednesday morning, Bobby and his friends were leaving Quad Studios, yes, the same studio where Tupac was shot and robbed back in 1994, after a long night of recording. According to multiple reports, the police arrested Bobby and 14 others. Among those arrested were his brother, Havez, and his close friend and fellow rapper, Rowdy Rebel. The charges against Bobby were serious: conspiracy to commit murder, reckless endangerment, drug possession, and gun possession. Bobby was looking at 8 to 25 years in prison. The other 14 faced even graver charges like murder, attempted murder, assault, and drug dealing, which could mean life in prison. At the hearing the next day, Bobby pled not guilty to all charges and was held on a massive $2 million bail. According to several media outlets, the NYPD had been investigating GS9 for a long time, well before Bobby even became famous. To the police, GS9 was a gang, not just a rap group like Bobby claimed. They were allegedly involved in murders, shootings at crowds in public places, drug dealing, and deadly battles with rival gangs. The cops even tried to use Bobby's lyrics against him in court, but the Supreme Court ruled that they couldn't be used as evidence in the trial. So Bobby embarked on his journey to await trial at Rikers Island. In case you didn't know, Rikers Island is definitely not a place you want to end up, even for a short stay. Upon arrival, Bobby and Rowdy Rebel were held in intake cells for 2 days, forced to sleep on the floor.
At first, me and Rowdy, we had stuck it up. We was in intake before they take you up. They had us sleeping in there for like 2 days.
This kind of inhumane treatment has been a grim reality for Rikers inmates since the 90s.
Rikers are so overcrowded, just finding a bed for an inmate can be a problem.
There's no room. There's actually no room. So where do they sleep? You're looking at them like, you mean sitting on the benches?
But once Bobby finally got a cell with an actual bed, his problems were only beginning. He spent nearly a year at Rikers just awaiting his trial, constantly going back and forth from court, having endless conferences with his lawyers, and making countless phone calls and visits in a desperate attempt to make progress with his legal case. He was held on an absurdly high $2 million bail, which he couldn't scrape together. Surprisingly, his label, Epic Records, didn't want to put up the money either. While Bobby was stuck on Rikers and unable to make bail, he at least had plenty of phone privileges. He made good use of this time, calling into shows like Ebro on Hot 97, giving the public updates on how he was holding up behind bars. But of course, things took a turn when Bobby started getting a bit too fired up, suggesting that the NYPD was trying to frame him, which led to his call getting cut off.
Bobby! 4 or 5 cops that night that had just grabbed me up, they told me that, yo, I don't want my kids listening to your music, this and that.
Hello?
During that call, Bobby shared some key details about his situation, revealing that he had been held in protective custody.
They got me in PC, man. They got me in protective custody.
He suggested this might have happened because initially it seemed like he and Rowdy Rebel were in general population until they got into a serious altercation.
So have you and Rowdy been together this whole time?
Yeah, but they just took him to the box, man. You know, me and him had a little altercation with somebody, you know how that go.
This brawl, which happened in April 2015, involved 4 Crips, including Bobby and Rowdy, taking on 2 Blood Gang members they had an argument with. The fight escalated quickly, with punches flying on both sides until the guards broke it up using pepper spray. As a result, Rowdy got sent to solitary confinement, and Bobby eventually followed. Bobby called back into Ebro later that year, revealing he had also been sent to The Box for fighting alongside Rowdy.
A whole bunch of rumors that stuff happened to me. Ain't nobody laid a finger on me yet. We went to the box over a little altercation. They put Rowdy in like this misbehavior.
Eventually, Bobby got a bit of a break from the horrors of Rikers Island, getting moved to the Westchester County Correctional Facility. After nearly 2 years rotting away in a cell, Bobby finally received his sentence, 7 years in prison. Fast forward to later, Bobby got moved to Clinton Correctional Facility in upstate New York to finish his sentence in protective custody. Despite all his efforts, a hearing in the week of August 18, 2020, denied him parole. His conditional release date was set for December 11, 2020 after serving his full sentence. However, after a review by the Department of Corrections, his credit for good institutional behavior was restored, qualifying him for conditional release on February 23, 2021, with the rest of his sentence to be served on parole. Bobby was finally released on February 23, 2021, under supervision by community members in Kings County, New York. Rapper Quavo even picked him up from prison. Bobby will be under supervised release until February 23, 2026.